March 10th, 2023. A mother made a decision, one that was beyond comprehension. She packed her bags, carefully selecting her finest designer dresses and most expensive heels. She booked a first-class Zeitung flight. She stepped into a luxury SUV, her mind filled with images of charters, blue oceans, white sand, champagne, and wild nights of partying. But there was one thing she didn't take with her. She didn't bring her daughter. She'd locked the apartment door behind her and walked away, leaving behind a 2-year-old toddler. Alone. No one was there to watch over her. No one was there to hold her when she cried. No one was there to feed her when she was hungry. 6 days. 6 nights. Trapped in darkness. While her mother laughed on a private yacht, and danced under the big club lights, and indulged in a life of luxury, her daughter was slowly dying in an empty, silent apartment. What makes a mother do something like this? Is it selfishness? Is it desperation? Or is it something even darker? This is not just a tragedy. This is a chilling wake-up call. A story of abandonment, unchecked selfishness, and the terrifying shadows lurking within our society. Welcome to Echoes of Crime, where real-life cases unravel the hidden truths behind justice and tragedy. Like, comment, and support the channel to help us bring more gripping true crime stories to you. Atlanta, Georgia, the city of the American dream and the harshest realities. Zahara Whitfield, 33 years old, was a product of both worlds. She never had a real childhood. Her mother was a woman Fraudster, broken by her own choices. Arrested, convicted, in and out of prison like a revolving door. By the time Zahara was just 6 years old, she no longer had a real family. The foster care system became the only home she knew. She bounced from house to house. No one truly loved her. No one truly cared. In Zahara's world, she had no one to lean on, but she learned one thing: attention is power. If no one loved her, then she would make sure they noticed her. If no one gave her what she wanted, she would take it her own way. From a young age, Zahara knew how to make an impression. She always dressed in the latest trends, even when she had no money. She knew how to talk, how to charm, how to make people pay attention. School wasn't about education, it was a stage and her life, from very early on, became a performance. Instagram became Zahara's real school. She followed influencers, women who lived the life she wanted. Draped in designer brands, living in luxury penthouses, flying across the world, dancing at exclusive parties, spending money like it would never run out. And they all had one thing in common. None of them seemed to have real jobs. Zahara watched closely, and she came to a conclusion. If they can live that life, why can't I? But instead of choosing to earn success the right way, she wanted to take the shortcut. She didn't want a 9-to-5 life, like normal people. She didn't want to work hard just to die ordinary. She believed she deserved more, without the struggle. And from that moment on, her life wasn't about hard work. It was about attention. Social media became her compass. Wealthy men became her golden ticket. She started showing up in places where real bosses gathered, VIP parties, elite nightclubs, high-end events. She wasn't there to spend money. She was there to find opportunity. And then, while chasing the dream of luxury, something she never planned happened. Zahara got pregnant. A reality she never imagined. A truth she was completely unprepared for. The father? A quick fling. A reckless decision. A man she never intended to keep around. She could have made a different choice. She could have ended it before it even began. But a single thought stopped her. Maybe this child will love me unconditionally. But the problem is, unconditional love can't change a selfish heart. And when her daughter, Amaya, was born, reality hit Zahara in a way she never expected. In the beginning, Zahara believed that her child would be a miracle. A tiny angel, a light in her chaotic life. She imagined picture-perfect moments, a radiant mother cradling her baby, eyes filled with love, just like the flawless Instagram photos she had always admired. She believed this child would love her unconditionally, would be the one thing that gave her purpose. But reality was nothing like the dream. When Amaya was born, every romanticized image Zahara had envisioned shattered like a fragile illusion. Motherhood wasn't like social media. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't luxurious. It didn't come with elegant dresses or extravagant parties. Instead, it was sleepless nights, relentless crying echoing through the silence, exhaustion that seeped into her bones. No more glamorous outfits, just clothes stained with milk and the smell of diapers. No more lavish parties, just endless days stuck in a tiny apartment with a crib. No more shining moments on social media, just fatigue, frustration, and a growing sense of entrapment. For the first time in her life, Zahara felt trapped. She couldn't go anywhere. She couldn't do whatever she wanted. She couldn't chase the dream she had once believed was hers. And then, deep inside, a terrifying thought began to take root. I don't want this. I wasn't meant to be a mother. She's holding me back. She never said those words out loud, but they echoed in her mind, clear as if they were etched into her soul. Narrator, slowly, emphasizing each word. Zahara began to hate her own daughter. Not hate in the literal sense, not because Amaya had done anything wrong, but because she hated feeling trapped. While her friends traveled, she had stayed home changing diapers. While others partied, she was awake, rocking her baby to sleep. While she scrolled through social media, watching women live luxurious, carefree lives, she felt like a prisoner. And then, one question kept playing over and over in her mind. Is there a way out of this? At first, she convinced herself that a little freedom wouldn't hurt. So, she started testing the waters, leaving for short periods. A few hours for a coffee date with friends. An evening for an exclusive party. One night to relive the thrill of her old life. But the problem was, the time away kept getting longer. At first, it was just a few hours, then an entire night, then a full day, and slowly, Zahara stopped feeling guilty about leaving her daughter behind. She started searching for a real escape. She didn't want to be just another struggling single mom. She wanted more. She wanted freedom. She wanted wealth. She wanted out. But there was one truth she failed to realize. When a mother abandons her child in pursuit of a hollow dream, the price she pays might be far more brutal than she ever imagined. Cairo Dupree, 22 years old, a professional con artist. A name you won't find on legal documents, but one that echoes through lavish parties. Cairo wasn't just a scammer. He was a master of illusion, a man who thrived on deception, manipulation, and power fueled by dirty money. Tall, handsome, radiating confidence. The appearance of a successful entrepreneur, but in reality, a mastermind of financial fraud. He didn't work, but he always had money. A lot of it. Lamborghinis, yachts, designer clothes, all bought with stolen wealth. Con men like Cairo don't just steal money, they steal trust. Cairo didn't just live a luxurious life, he built a world where he was king. In Miami, he was untouchable, always surrounded by the most beautiful women and the most powerful men. On social media, he embodied the American dream, wealth, fame, and status without effort. At high-end parties, he was the one in control. The endless champagne, the all-night celebrations, the underground connections that no one dared to question. But the most dangerous thing about Cairo wasn't how much money he made. It was how he convinced others they could live like him too. Zahara fell for it completely. The moment she scrolled through Instagram and saw Cairo, she didn't see a scam artist. She saw a golden ticket, a way out of the life she despised. From that moment on, Zahara didn't care about being a mother. She only cared about getting into Cairo's world. She studied his every post. She analyzed the women around him, elegant, seductive, free from responsibility. She understood that Cairo wasn't looking for love. He was looking for someone who fit his image. And Zahara decided she would be one of them. She didn't hesitate. She didn't wait. She didn't play coy. She messaged Cairo. A simple, direct, unapologetic text. Got a spot for me? Most women would wait for Cairo to notice them. But Zahara wasn't like most women. She took control. And Cairo liked women who knew what they wanted. And then the invitation came. Hawaii, tomorrow. You in? No hesitation. She booked the flight. She packed her bags. She left. No goodbye to her daughter. Not even a glance back. Because in Zahara's mind, Amaya was the past. Hawaii was the future. Cairo was the way, and the lavish dream she had always wanted had finally begun. At one of the most luxurious resorts on a tropical island, Zahara Whitfield was finally living the dream she had always craved. The dazzling lights, the extravagant parties, the expensive champagne flowing endlessly, all of it surrounded her in a world of indulgence. Music pulsed through the air. She danced on tables, soaking in the attention. Champagne bottles popped open, golden bubbles overflowing. But over 4,000 miles away, in a small, cold apartment, a 2-year-old child was slowly dying. Alone. March 10th, 2023. The first day of the dream life. Zahara stepped off the plane, feeling the warm Hawaiian breeze kiss her skin. Beside her stood Cairo Dupree, dressed in designer suits, a diamond-studded watch glinting under the sun, his confident smirk exuding power. A luxury SUV waited for them curbside. They arrived at a 5-star resort, where the turquoise ocean stretched endlessly before them. A cocktail was placed in her hand the moment she stepped onto the private balcony of their lavish suite. She gazed down, watching the waves softly caress the white sand below. This was the life she had always wanted. A life without Amaya. Meanwhile, in Atlanta, Amaya woke up in darkness. She looked around. No sign of her mother. She cried. Her fragile sobs echoed through the empty apartment. But no one heard. No one knew she was alone. Zahara? She didn't check her phone. She was too busy choosing an outfit for that night's party. A skin-tight shimmering dress, flawless hair extensions, a perfectly contoured face. As night fell, Zahara stepped into an exclusive nightclub with Cairo. VIP lounge. Liquor flowing like water, laughter ringing through the air. She posed for the camera, carefully curating every shot before posting on Instagram. Blessed. Luxury lifestyle. And in Atlanta, Amaya was still crying, still waiting. Her day 2. Morning in Hawaii. Zahara woke up to breakfast in bed. Afternoon, designer shopping spree. Evening, a private yacht Tron ride. Night, a lavish dinner with counterfeit businessmen and con artists like Cairo. Zahara was living the life she believed she deserved. But Amaya? The milk in her bottle was almost gone. She crawled across the apartment, searching for her mother. But no one came. She cried harder, but even crying takes energy, and her tiny body was running out of it. Zahara did not check her phone. The neighbors had heard the crying, but then it stopped. No one knocked. No one walked in. Number Teacher Trine, Day 3. Aboard a private yacht, floating in crystal clear waters, Zahara leaned into Cairo, sipping an ice-cold cocktail. She flaunted her brand-new diamond earrings, a gift from Cairo. She snapped a picture, posting it with the caption, "Living my best life." She felt like she was glowing. But back in Atlanta, Amaya could no longer cry. Her lips were dry and cracked. Her tiny body was growing weaker. No food, no water, no one knew. Zahara did not check her phone. Amaya? She was slipping away. Downs in days 4 and 5. Cairo tossed a thick stack of cash onto the bed, smirking. Go crazy, baby. Zahara did exactly that, storming through high-end boutiques, buying anything and everything she desired. That night, another party, another nightclub, another night of pounding music and overflowing drinks. The perfect life she had always dreamed of was finally hers. But in Atlanta, no more crying, no more noise, only a terrifying silence. March 15th, 2023. The FBI storms. Inaihin. In Hawaii, Zahara was still drowning in her lavish dream. The sun had just begun to rise over the Paradise Island, yet she remained curled up in expensive silk sheets, the taste of last night's liquor still lingering on her lips. Beside her, Cairo Dupree scrolled through his phone, exchanging messages with people Zahara didn't know. But elsewhere, far away, everything had already changed. That morning, the FBI made their move. They didn't need to surveil him any longer. They had all the evidence they needed. Countless fraudulent transactions, money laundering, financial scams, and identity theft. Cairo Dupree wasn't just some wealthy young man. He was a professional con artist who had stolen millions from financial institutions and unsuspecting victims. 6:30 a.m., a special FBI task force surrounded the luxury resort. A loud bang on the hotel's suite door. FBI, open up immediately! Inside, Cairo jolted awake. He cursed, throwing his phone onto the bed, leaping up while Zahara remained dazed, still processing what was happening. The door was kicked open. Agents stormed in, guns aimed straight at Cairo. Get down now! Hands where we can see them! Do not resist! Cairo froze. He had always known. This day would come. There was no shock in his eyes, no panic, only acceptance. Zahara, however, was different. She screamed. As an agent grabbed her, pushing her face down onto the bed, securing handcuffs around her wrists. I didn't do anything. I'm not part of this. She shrieked, thrashing wildly. But the FBI didn't care. They tore apart the hotel room, seizing phones, laptops, designer handbags stuffed with cash. Cairo didn't say a word. He simply stared at the floor, knowing it was over. And then Zahara remembered something. "I have a child!" She suddenly screamed, her voice breaking into panic. "I need to go home. I need to get back to my baby." One of the agents who had just secured her cuffs hesitated for a second. "What did you just say?" "My daughter. She's at home. I need to go now." The entire room fell silent. "How old is she?" "2. "How long have you been gone?" Zahara swallowed hard, her voice barely above a whisper. 6 days. The air in the room shifted. An agent immediately pulled out his phone, dialing the Atlanta Police Department. "Emergency. We have a 2-year-old child left alone for 6 days. Send the nearest unit immediately." And in Atlanta, a race against time had begun. When police arrived at Zahara's apartment, they knocked. No response. They called out for Amaya. Silence. They kicked the door open. The moment the door swung wide, a sickening stench hit them like a gut punch. A foul, suffocating odor, spoiled food, decay, abandonment. An officer stepped inside, eyes scanning the room. Toys scattered across the floor. An empty baby bottle overturned near the crib. A diaper, so soiled it reeked of neglect. Amaya was lying motionless on the floor, her tiny body shockingly frail, her cheeks sunken from dehydration, her lips cracked, her skin pale and cold, her little hand still clutching her favorite stuffed bear. No movement. No signs of life. An officer knelt down, placing 2 fingers against the delicate wrist. Silence. No pulse. "We need medics now. A 2-year-old in critical condition." But deep down, they already knew. It was too late. While Zahara was drinking champagne on a yacht, her daughter was slowly dying, alone, hungry, and in the dark. And the most horrifying part? Zahara never once thought about her child for 6 days. No texts, no calls, not a single hesitation before boarding that plane. The FBI received confirmation. Amaya did not survive. And at that moment, Zahara's crime was no longer just child neglect. It had become murder. The truth was exposed, and now Zahara would face justice. September 5th, 2023. The courtroom was packed. Cameras flashed non-stop. The jury sat in silence, their expressions unreadable. The public was divided, some seething with anger, others waiting to hear her defense. Zahara Whitfield, once a woman who thrived in the artificial glow of social media, now sat in a dull gray prison uniform, wrists shackled, eyes empty. No more glamorous dresses, no more flashing lights from wild parties, no more luxurious vacations, only the cold, unforgiving reality of the choices she had made. The prosecutor stepped forward, locking eyes with the jury. "Today, you are not just judging a mother. You are judging a decision, a choice, a crime that cannot be forgiven." He held up a series of photographs. The crime scene, a filthy, dark apartment reeking of neglect. The empty baby bottle lying next to a lifeless, fragile body. Screenshots of Zahara's Instagram, her beaming smile on a yacht, while her daughter was slowly dying of starvation. The prosecutor paused, his voice turning sharp as a knife. A loving mother does not leave her child alone in a dark apartment for 6 days to go on vacation. A mother with a conscience cannot possibly sip champagne, dance at a nightclub, and never once wonder if her baby is still alive. His voice echoed through the courtroom. Ask yourselves, was this a mistake? Or was it a cold, heartless, and deliberate act of cruelty? The defense attorney rose to speak. Your Honor, this is a young woman who was overwhelmed, someone struggling with the burdens of motherhood. She did not intend to harm her daughter. She was simply lost in desperation. Murmurs of protest rippled through the audience. The prosecutor shot back instantly. Desperation is not an excuse. Every single mother in this world feels exhausted, stressed, overwhelmed, but they do not abandon their child in an apartment with no food, no water, and fly off to paradise with a con artist. All eyes turned to Zahara. She'd lowered her head, tears rolling down her face. But was it remorse, or the crushing realization that there was no escape? The jury deliberated. It took them only 2 hours to decide. The judge banged the gavel, his voice firm and resolute. Zahara Whitfield, you are sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Cairo Dupree, you are sentenced to 15 years in federal prison for financial fraud and aiding in this crime. A heavy silence fell over the courtroom. Zahara collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. Cairo remained still. He had always known this day would come. The prosecutor turned to the public, delivering his final statement. This was not just a crime. This was a lesson, a wake-up call. We are responsible for protecting our children. If you see signs of neglect, act. Do not let another Amaya die in silence. Justice has been served, but is it enough? Can anyone bring Amaya back? Share this story so more people can hear the truth. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to stay updated on more cases like this. This story is a painful reminder of human selfishness, of the devastating consequences when people place their own desires above their responsibilities. Remember this lesson, and never turn your back on a child in need.